Kenneth Eugene Smith, 58, is the first person to be executed by nitrogen hypoxia or nitrogen gas, since lethal injection was introduced in 1977. Kenneth Smith had been on Alabama's death row since 1996 when he was convicted of the murder for hire of Elizabeth Sennett. On March 18, 1988, Charles Sennett said he had found his wife Elizabeth dead at their home that they had shared. Elizabeth had been stabbed multiple times and she had been beaten with a fireplace implement. As the investigation went on, investigators found out that Elizabeth wasn't killed in a burglary gone bad. Her husband, Charles Sennett, hired a man, Billy Gray Williams, to kill his wife. Billy Gray Williams didn't act alone. He convinced two other men to help kill Elizabeth, Kenneth Eugene Smith and John Forrest Parker. Charles Sennett promised all three men $1,000 each for killing his wife. So why would Charles Sennett want his wife Elizabeth Sennett dead? Charles Sennett had the job. He worked as a pastor for the church that their family attended. Elizabeth was a stay-at-home mom taking care of the two boys that they had. Charles also took care of the finances. So sometime before Elizabeth's death or murder, Charles had ran into money troubles. Charles didn't want his wife Elizabeth to know, so he came up with the plan to kill his wife so he could get life insurance money. The police eventually got three men in custody: Kenneth Eugene Smith, Billy Gray Williams, and John Forrest Parker. All three of them were arrested, and the investigators found out Charles Sennett was the man who set the murder for hire plan in motion. Before the police could arrest Charles Sennett, though, he went to his church on March 25th, 1988. He met with his family and admitted to them that he did kill his wife and then killed himself. Billy Gray Williams was given a life sentence for the part he played in the murder for hire plot. Billy Gray Williams would ultimately die in prison. John Forrest Parker, he was 20 when he was convicted of capital murder. The jury recommended that John Forrest Parker should spend the rest of his life in prison. Judge Johnson didn't agree with the jury, since the murder of Elizabeth Sennett was so brutal. Judge Johnson ultimately sentenced 20-year-old John Forrest Parker to death. From the time he was sentenced to death, John Forrest Parker would fight and appeal. None of this would work, though, because John would receive his death warrant. John was moved to a cell near the death chamber Thursday, June 10th, 2010. This was John's execution day. John would spend time with his family and a few friends. John spent the last day of his life reading the Bible. John didn't eat breakfast. He did have a final meal: fried fish, French fries, and iced tea. Most of the personal items John had, he gave to his mom. This included a box of pictures, gold watch, mirror, and 7 stamps. John gave his nephews a belt and a wallet. John Forrest Parker would be pronounced dead at William C. Holman Correctional, located in Atmore, Alabama, at 6:41 p.m. by lethal injection. November 2022 was when Kenneth Eugene Smith would receive his first death warrant. Lethal injection was the method used, but the execution was botched. Nobody could successfully find a vein to put the IV in. Kenneth would eventually be led back to his cell, where he would stay until the day he died, on January 25th, 2024. Instead of choosing lethal injection, like he did 2 years prior, Kenneth decided to use an experimental way of execution: nitrogen hypoxia. Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Kenneth had a final meal from Waffle House, a T-bone steak, hash brown, and eggs. But Kenneth hardly touched his food, though. He had a lot of nerves and anxiousness because of what happened last time, the botch attempt, so he also wasn't ready to die. And that's one of the biggest reasons why he didn't eat his food. Kenneth got to see his wife and his sons for the last time. He had a few words, quotes, "Tonight, Alabama causes humanity to take a step backwards. Thank you for supporting me. Love you all." Kenneth Eugene Smith was 58. He was fitted with a mask. Some referred to the mask as something a firefighter would wear. Thursday, January 25th, 2024, Kenneth was pronounced dead. The execution took 22 minutes. It is said that the use of nitrogen hypoxia or nitrogen gas is a painless and humane way to go. The witnesses that were at the execution reported that Kenneth Eugene Smith shook violently. The whole 22 minutes his eyes were still open, looked like he was still conscious the whole time. Others said that he shook his head violently after the nitrogen gas was being pumped into the mask. That is supposed to be airtight. Some witnesses said they heard the gas leaking out of the mask. If this is true, then the mask wasn't as airtight as they said it would be. Capital punishment or the death penalty is a touchy subject. Some don't care if the person being executed suffers or not, while others don't believe in the death penalty at all. One of Elizabeth Senett's sons stated, "It doesn't matter to me how he goes out, so as long as he goes. Mr. Smith had been in prison twice as long as I knew my mom." The second son stated, quote, "Some of these people out there say, well, he didn't deserve to suffer like that. Well, he didn't ask my mama how to suffer. They just did it. They stabbed her multiple times," end quote. So this is my question to you. Do you believe in the death penalty? Do you not believe in the death penalty? Do you believe in using nitrogen hypoxia or nitrogen gas as a new way to kill people? Let me know in the comments. I know death penalty and whatnot is really touchy, but, this is the way a man died, and some people don't agree with it. Some people do. So let me know in the comments below.